Welcome all the students of class 10, parents, teachers and other viewers. You are now in the social science class. We have a student with us in the studio. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Rahul. I'm in class 10, Madhu International School in New Delhi.
Thank you. So, you are aware that social science constitute many subjects: history, geography, economics, political science, sociology, business studies and many others. Among other subjects, economics is an important subject. It is introduced in class 6 in some simple rudimentary forms. All the important topics which we have come across in our daily life and in the media are introduced in class 10, class 9 and 10 onwards. In the previous session, we familiarized you about development, what are the indicators of development. We looked at how income can be used as an important indicator of development. We also looked at what are the other indicators of development. We saw that some important points that emerged in the previous session are that every person, community, village or a country has goals, some developmental aspirations. Income earned by people in a country is used as an indicator of development. Besides income, there are other development indicators also. For example, life expectancy, infant mortality ratio, net attendance ratio. We looked at the data of these development indicators of some important states in India and also some of the countries, our neighborhood countries. You also notice that some states have a better income indicator, they have a higher per capita income, but they are not performing, they are not providing health and education facilities in a better manner. We also looked at when we compared the countries in South Asia that many countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, they are having a low income, but they are able to ensure higher life expectancy. We also looked at how Sri Lanka is having a higher human development index when compared with all other countries in South Asia. And we also looked at why this is happening. It is also because the facilities available in the states, how the government is ensuring public distribution system in some states, establish hospitals and other health and education facilities, because of which the health indicators, education indicators are showing better results actually. They may be not earning a higher income, but in terms of other indicators we looked at how they are performing. We also saw the human development report about which I have already discussed. You know that during the period of March to April, May, June 2020, that due to corona, all the activities, important economic activities all over the world were shut down. Many countries have locked down their activities, because of which the indicators of pollution has improved. For example, Delhi was looking like London, we also come to know in the newspaper. Okay. So, because the factories were shut down in Delhi actually. So, we also in this session we are going to see whether this development is sustainable, the development based on the high cost, the polluting industries, is this development is sustainable, and we are going to take up two examples. Okay. What are those two examples? We are going to take the discussion of groundwater resources, how the groundwater used in India. We also looked at we are going to look at it, other important indicator, crude oil. Before that, I asked you to calculate the body mass index. Yes. Viewers, body mass index is an important health indicator. It tells you about a person, whether he is a malnutritioned person or he is having a normal level of nutrition, or is he a obese person. Obesity is also one of the malnutrition. It is not that obesity means it is better. People who are having obese also malnutrition, that means they are not having a proper diet. Okay. People who are having malnutrition, maybe like they may not be children, many people, if children are malnutrition means they are not having proper food actually. Okay. So, the body mass index can be calculated by two statistics we require. We wanted the height of the student or height of any person, in meters, and the weight in kilograms. So, you have to collect these two details, so that you can calculate body mass index. Okay. If you look at the PowerPoint slides, you will come to know that those persons, particularly adults whose body mass index ranges between 18.5 to 25, they are considered as normal.
Yes.
Okay. So, those adolescents, those who are aged like you, 14 and 18, if your body mass index is lying between 15.5 to 29, and then you are normal. Okay. And I also asked you to collect the details of the height and weight of your family members. Can you share the details?
Yes, sir. For my brother, the BMI is 20.83. For my mother, the BMI is 34.2. For father, it is 29.38. And for me, it is 27.54.
Okay, very good. Thank you for collecting these details and calculating the BMI. Now you tell me, who are the are there any obese person in your
Yes,
family?
sir. My mother and my father.
How can you say that actually?
Because it's more than 29.
So, their BMI is going beyond 25.
Yes.
So, that is why they are called obese people actually. Okay, their nutrition level or the nutrition level is not proper actually. Okay. Students, when you are now in the house, you can also calculate the way Rahul has calculated the details of body mass index. You just collect the details of every family person and their height and their weight. Okay. And then you calculate by the formula weight in kilograms divided by height in meters into height in meters. Okay. This is given in the slide, you can get the details. And the body mass index is an important health indicator. If you go to, please visit a nearby Anganwadi or Balwadi, where many children are given nutritious food actually. You talk to the teacher or the organizer working in Anganwadi and collect the details about this body mass index of, because she collects not only the body mass index of the children and also other people in your locality. So, you talk with her and you will get surprising details about this body mass index. Let me go to the issue of sustainable development. See, the sustainable development means we have to we have to engage in the developmental activities which are sustainable. I already told you that we are going to take 2 examples. Okay. What are those examples? Let me take the example of groundwater. What is groundwater? All the water that we get from the ground, the earth. Okay. What are the ways we get groundwater? By the borewells,
Yes,
or by using pump sets. Okay, we get the groundwater. See, this groundwater is getting recharged by the rains. Okay. So, if you look at the total amount of groundwater that we get in the whole world, and 25% of rainwater only is used, because the rest of the water is going to the oceans. Okay. And if you look at the consumption of the groundwater in India, India is the largest consumer of groundwater. In fact, entire the groundwater available to the earth or the universe, the world, okay, we consume 25%, one fourth of the total groundwater that we receive from the rains, which are utilizable, we consume ourselves. Such a high level of consumption of groundwater that we are making. So, it is high time that we have to use the groundwater in a very economical fashion, actually, economical manner. And also, if you look at the groundwater, how it is used, you may be thinking that we are all drinking water, water in our households, we may be using water in factories, we may be using water in other places actually. But the statistics show that 70% of the groundwater that we are getting in India are used mainly for agriculture and irrigation purposes only. Only the rest 30% is used by the households, factories and others. Okay. So, it is a high time that we use groundwater in an economic manner. Can you share some of the details how the groundwater can be used economically? Can you give examples which you must have read earlier or listened to somewhere in the media?
Groundwater can be used for irrigation, I guess.
Yes.
And it can also be used in household activities.
Okay. So, the groundwater can be used for various purposes. Irrigation is the major purpose in agriculture, we are using it actually. So, if you look at the why suddenly groundwater is taking 70% of the total groundwater in India, it is because the number of pump sets in India has increased from 1 crore to 3 crore during the last 60 years. The number of pump sets that are set up in rural areas for irrigation purposes has increased from 1 crore to 3 crore. The second reason is that the number of the amount of acre of lands available for irrigation purposes. Traditionally 50 years before, majority of the lands are used to were getting cultivated by the rain. That is why the we used to call it India's India is mainly depending on the rain-fed agriculture. India's agriculture is called rain-fed agriculture. But today more than 55% of the lands available for agriculture is irrigated actually. So, if you look at in terms of total, almost like 10 times. For example, 50 years before in 1950s, if only 20 acres were irrigated, today it is 200 acres. So, the amount of land irrigated is also increased. Because of this, the groundwater is also getting depleted actually. But it is high time that we use many measures, the sustainable use of groundwater. For example, sprinkler cultivation can be one method by which the water can be conserved actually. And sure, students, you may be discussing with you can discuss with your parents and teachers and community members that how groundwater can be used economically in such a manner that we are able to get groundwater on a regular basis, so that we are sustaining our developmental activities. The second example is that crude oil. The crude oil that we get is, if you look at the statistics, the latest statistics available from various sources, we have crude oil which can be sufficient only for the next 50 years. And if you look at compare the countries, for example, in America, the amount of crude oil is available in that country, it is sufficient only for 10 years. So, after 10 years they have to look for some other sources of groundwater, like the crude oil actually. So, the amount of crude oil today you are getting is only 1,697,000 million barrels. Okay, so the crude oil is also like getting depleted day by day. Okay, that means the crude oil can be used for like to get extract petrol, diesel, and the fuel for the flights. Okay, all the transportation vehicles. For all purposes, we are using the crude oil actually. So, we have to use crude oil in such a manner that we are our next generation also can save crude oil for their own consumption. Otherwise, will not be the developmental activity that we are doing is not sustainable. That is why there is one popular quote. I can read out to you this popular quote. We have not inherited the world from our forefathers. We have borrowed it from our children. So, that means we have to save all these natural resources. Okay. And if you look at Mahatma Gandhi quote, I am sure that you will be interested in Gandhi's quote. Please read the quote by Mahatma Gandhi.
Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. What we are doing to the forest of the world is but a mirror reflection of what we are doing to ourselves and to one another.
Thank you, Rahul, for reading this important quote of Mahatma Gandhi. And if I look at all the important key points of this topic, development, we have looked at what is development, and I am just reading out important key points. Every individual has goals, aspirations and developmental goals. They may not be same for all.
Yes.
If you look at every country or states or regions within the country has also developmental goals. Point 3, income is an important indicator of development. Per capita income is the major indicator or a state or nation's development. This is measured by the total income divided by the total population. Income alone cannot help us, it will not help us to understand people's development. We also require other indicators related to the health, food security, education, democracy. It is important to know how the fruits of development is distributed or shared by the people. We also estimated what is the total income and what is the average income, yes. Why the totals and averages may not tell you the real picture actually.
And sir, I had a doubt.
Yeah.
How can democracy be an indicator?
It is important to know how the fruits of development is distributed or shared by the people. Okay. We also looked at why this development is not sustainable, because the resources available with the people are limited. The crude oil or the groundwater, these are the natural resources which you may not get regularly all the time. So, they may get exhaust very quickly. So, it is necessary that we use economically, we conserve them, so that it can be sustained for the next generation also. If you look at the major learning outcomes of this particular unit, you should be able to define per capita income, sustainable development and human development index. And you also should be able to compare the development indicators across states or across countries. So, you should be able to interpret the way I interpreted today in session or in the previous session, all the data. And you also have to explain why human development is important, why other indicators are development, other than income is development, so is important actually.
Yeah.
If you look at the viewers, I am having some questions for you, and please take out your pen and paper and see, you can just tick mark true or false. I am going to read some 8 statements, and if you are able to answer correctly, and then it is sure that I am able to explain to you all the concepts very well. The first statement, total income is sufficient to understand development of a country or state. True or false? You can tick 1. Per capita income is estimated by dividing the total income by the total population. True or false? 3. Life expectancy refers to number of years people are able to live in a region or country. 4. According to World Bank, Russia is a developed country. 5. Most people in India follow sustainable development practices. 6. According to Human Development Index, India is ranked as one of the top 50 countries. 7th question. When compared with other countries, India is required to economically use its groundwater. True or false? 8. People aspire to achieve similar developmental goals as individuals or as groups. If you are able to answer the questions correctly, I am sure that you are in a position to understand, like you are in a position to have a better understanding about development. Viewers have read you the questions, some of the 8 questions. Let me ask Rahul these questions, and let us check up, let us verify whether he is able to answer correctly. Rahul, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I am ready.
Question number 1.
Yeah.
Total income is sufficient to understand the development of a country or state. True or false?
False.
Correct, because the income is alone not sufficient. We need other indicators also to understand the development. Second question. Per capita income is estimated by dividing the total income by the total population. True or false?
Sir, true.
Correct. So, if you get the total income of all the people and divided by the number of people living in the locality or a country or a state or a village, you will get the average income or per capita income. Third question. Life expectancy refers to number of years people are able to live in a region or country. True or false?
True.
Correct. So, I told you that the life expectancy means how many years people are able to live. In India, it was 68.8. In Sri Lanka, it was 75.5. Correct answer. Fourth question. According to World Bank, Russia is a developed country.
True.
Correct. Because I already told you that those countries which are having per capita income of $12,056 and above, they are considered as developed countries. So, in that case, Russia's per capita income is about beyond $12,056. That is why it is a developed country. Correct answer. Fifth question. Most people in India follow sustainable development practices. True or false?
False.
Yeah, so he may be false, but it is possible that yes, most people in India follow, they do not follow the sustainable development practices. That could be a very subjective answer. I am leaving it to the viewers to what extent this may be true. Sixth question. According to Human Development Index, India is ranked as one of the top 50 countries.
False.
True or false?
False.
False? Correct. Why? Because India's rank as on 2018 or 19 is 130. So, 50 means it is a wrong answer. Yeah. Seventh question. When compared with other countries, India is required to economically use its groundwater. True or false?
True.
Correct. We already told you that India's groundwater usage is almost 24%. World's 1/4 of the groundwater we ourselves, a small country, we ourselves consume. So, it is necessary that we have to economize the use of groundwater, because it is not you cannot recycle, you cannot get on a regular basis. Question number 8. People aspire to achieve similar developmental goals as individuals or as groups. True or false?
True.
Not correct. You remember that in the first session of this chapter, we discussed that people have different goals. For example, people living in the rural area may be having different goals, and people in urban area may be having different goals. They may not be same for all. Yes. So, this question is the answer to this question is not correct. But thank you very much. You have answered all the 7 questions out of 8. Thank you for watching this session on development, which is an important concept which we see in our daily life. I am sure that you will be learning much more about the concept development and the indicators of development in higher classes. I also thank Rahul for coming to the studio and participating in this session. Thank you very much, Rahul.